This Defect deck just obliterated the Spire, so if you're looking to boost your Defect game, or you're new to Slay the Spire, then I invite you to join me as we go through this step-by-step guide to playing as the Defect. One of the big things often overlooked by new players, especially on the Defect, is boss swapping. The Defect can really use that extra energy that most of the boss swaps give. As you can see here, we even got the Coffee Dripper, which early on allows us to build into many different ways to sustain our energy, and that's something the Defect has many different options with, so we want to path into probably a little bit safer option here. I really like to look through all of my different options before I pick out my path, especially in Act 1. And we get a self-repair on floor 1, which automatically makes that Coffee Dripper free because we're going to get 7 healing on every fight. I was offered a real gamble a few floors later when I was offered Biased Cognition or Defragment, both great focus generating cards, but I had an elite fight coming up, so I decided to take the risk, and we were rewarded immediately with the Golden Shrine. We can take the 275 gold, get the Regret Curse, and we're going into the shop so we can just remove it immediately. And oh my goodness, what a shop it is. We've already got 2 power cards, and check this out, Mummified Hand, more energy generation. We even have enough gold left to get rid of the curse, and I'm seeing this bandage up over here, which will give us even a little bit more sustain if we absolutely need it. We're at full health going into the campfire, so we can go ahead and upgrade our Biased Cognition. And we just really need to hope that we can draw our zap on turn 1 here against the Gremlin Knob, which we don't. So this is going to be a pretty rough fight, but we can at least get one of these powers out of the way, and I'm going to hold Biased Cognition until I draw it next time. Turn 2 is even worse. We have to tank 14 damage against the Gremlin Knob, and we finally get our zap in play. We ended up taking huge damage against the Gremlin Knob, but we did get the Wing Boots, which is going to help a lot later on. And we picked up a regen potion as well, which is going to help. Still no attack cards, but Hologram is always great in any Defect deck. And we're going to get the option to fight the mushrooms here, but I'm only at 14 health, so I really don't like taking the Parasite here. But I don't think I can beat the mushrooms. Gain some health, get another curse, not great, but let's keep moving forward. We do get a chance to transform a card. It's always great to get rid of strikes, and that's going to be tip number 2. Remove as many strikes as you can. And our transform reward is going to lead us right into step number 3, which is find some way to get card draw. FTL is going to draw us cards if we play it early on in their turn, and card draw is huge when you have so much energy and when you're playing in such a strong power-based deck, which is what we're building. So find any way you can to draw as many cards per turn as possible. We're given the option right before the boss to trade 50 gold for a relic, almost always an excellent idea. And we get the White Beast statue, which gives us a potion reward after every fight. Potions are huge in this game. Do not sleep on potions. Moving into the slime boss here, we still don't have a whole lot of cards that are going to really help against the boss fight, but we've got a regen potion, we've got compile driver, and we've got some relics here that are going to help as well. So why did I just play dual cast there when I don't have any orbs? Because we've got the letter opener, so if we can play 3 skills every turn, that's 5 free damage every turn. We will have to tank this first big hit from the slime boss, but I'm starting to get things set up. We've got 2 orbs in play, we can heal a little bit more here, and this is where things are gonna really start to steamroll. We just have to play smart. This is a really unfortunate time to draw a hologram since, you know, we just reshuffled the deck. We can't pull anything out of the discard pile, so it's kind of a wasted turn. I did miss the letter opener there, but that happens. So it could have been 5 more damage. Now here I really want to be careful not to split the slime boss poorly, the slime boss splits when you get it down to half health. So I'm doing some mental math here to make sure that, you know, we've got one more turn here to deal damage before that split. Now on this turn, I want to do as much damage as possible. So I'm going to get my zap out there. I'm going to draw as many cards as I can and just take the slime boss down as far as possible. This is a great time for biased cognition. The fight is not going to last 5 more turns, so get all that focus in there as much as you can. And even here, we're a little bit close, possibly could have lost here, but that extra focus really helped us to take down the grain slime. I still don't have anything to pull with hologram really, but we can at least go ahead and take out some of these slimes. I'm gonna try and get the green slime down to splitting range. The rest of the fight's gonna be easy. We just let our orbs do the thing, keep posting more, and here we go, we've got the win. And the Spire is being super generous by giving us creative AI here. If we can play a power every turn, then we're going to get free cards every turn, and we're even offered the runic pyramid here. Pyramid is going to help with everything in this deck in case we draw something on a bad turn, like our hologram or a biased cognition. We can keep it in hand for as long as possible. The pyramid really can be kind of scary when you're first learning how to play this game, because you do suffer things like hand clog when you don't discard your cards, but we've got 4 energy every turn. We're going to be playing a power every turn, and with that mummy hand, that's going to give us free cards we can play, so we really shouldn't suffer any kind of hand clog. Moving into Act 2, the big thing you need to remember for fighting the elites and getting to the boss of Act 2 is that you have to develop some scaling, both offensive and defensive. Now we've got our offensive scaling set with creative AI and biased cognition. What we don't have yet is any kind of defensive scaling. I haven't found any good defensive cards beyond hologram, and that's really more for pulling cards back into hand than to block. So what we really need to look for here is sources of frost orbs, or especially a glacier or even a buffer power to be able to tank some of those big hits as they come in, while we're still looking for good skills that we can play in order to block. Charge battery here does give us that source of block that we need. It's not huge block or anything, but it also gives us more energy that we can use on our next turn, which is something that we're really trying to stock up on here. Here's a great example of creative AI giving us some of that offensive scaling by putting Storm into our hand. We're going to be playing powers every turn. We're going to be generating lightning every turn. Now I can also block here. I'm kind of torn on whether or not to play biased cognition early in this fight, but we've got the pyramid, so we can just hang on to it. Now we've got 3 powers in turn. We can generate at least 3 lightning this turn. Loop is going to be super helpful, and now the baseball's really not going to give us any trouble at all. We are going to take some damage to it, but this fight's going to be over really quick. We're offered a genetic algorithm, which turns into huge block later on. So that's definitely what we were looking for here. And I'm going to grab this smoke bomb in case I get an incredibly awful matchup. 275 gold would be really great here if we had a shop on the next floor. But remember, with Pyramid, we're going to take a huge amount of damage if we take this Regret Curse. So 100 gold is not bad at all. We've got a shop much later on, so I think we're gonna just go ahead and take 100 here. And that ended up being the right idea, because I really wanted to take this relic with the chance of getting another curse. We would have really just tanked the whole deck. Plus we got the Centennial puzzle, which gives us even more card draw in the instances where we actually do take damage. We're gonna have more cards in hand and more chances to just get the deck snowballing. With our fight against the Cultist and the Chosen, it's a great time, if you're enjoying this, to go down to the comments section and write caw-caw. Don't forget to hit subscribe while you're there. Chosen fight is really a bad matchup against the Defect because we're playing so many powers. We're gonna clog the deck with all of these dazed cards, and that can really kind of hurt things if the deck doesn't build quickly enough. Now we are still able to block enough here, and we're gonna generate some draws, so I don't think it's gonna be too much of an issue, but something to look out for if you end up facing the Chosen with a deck like this. See there, we drew 5 dazed cards. I'm just gonna go ahead and waste the smoke bomb here instead of taking 45 damage. Moving on to our first elite of the act, we have the Book of Stabbing. Shouldn't be too much trouble as long as we can get some defense out quickly, or we're gonna take a whole lot. One thing to note here, Book of Stabbing is a big reason that the Runic Pyramid is bad, because it fills our deck with these wounds and they just end up staying in hand. And you can end up having a handful of 10 wound cards and you just completely lose to the Book of Stabbing. We're rewarded with a Whetstone, which is going to upgrade 2 of our attacks, but importantly, we got Storm here, and we're going to throw that into our hand as quickly as possible so we can build as much lightning as we can. Gonna take the Sacred Book here. We get Nilri's Codex, which is pretty okay. It would have been really awesome to get Enchility in here, just because even more power cards is even more scaling. But using Nilri's Codex is really going to help us to scale some block as we need it. Moving into the shop, we've got another bunch of huge opportunities here. I'm probably going to take this Bottled Tornado and just put it on the creative AI so that we can play that turn 1 every combat. Unfortunately, that means they don't have enough money to remove a card or grab this Apotheosis, but I think we're good to go ahead and move into this elite fight going forward. And we're against the Gremlin leader, and just look here how quickly this deck is going to scale against the Gremlins now. We get Lightning on turn 1, always play Storm before your other powers, and we can even go ahead and play Biased Cognition on turn 1 here. And here's Nilri's Codex, gonna offer us not a whole lot that we can use with, but we can also skip that every turn. Turn 2, we're given a capacitor so we can get more orb generation going. Remember, every power we play adds a free lightning orb into the deck. We're gonna play self-repair to get even more, and then we've got some block stored up for next turn if we need. Gonna grab this Sunder just in case we get some issues with some future gremlins. We can take out the fat gremlin here, get 3 free energy back. And then we can also use our hologram to grab the Sunder again and take out the other fat gremlin. Now I can play Defragment, get even more focus generated, and move on. We get a buffer, and we can also go ahead and heal a little bit here. And really this fight's basically over. We just have to stall long enough for the orbs to do their job. But I do want to play Genetic Algorithm before I let that happen so that we can continue to grow that block for the next combat. We're offered another Genetic Algorithm, and of course I'm going to take this one, especially since it has a plus on it. And this is really going to be our defense scaling throughout the game. Now I'm going to use my Wing Boots charge here to take another elite since that last one went so well. This may or may not have been a good idea since we got the Book of Stabbing again. I was kind of hoping to get the Slavers fight, but again, we're going to be able to just ramp up our offense and defensive now versus the Book of Stabbing, and it's not going to be too much of an issue. We are rewarded for taking another elite by getting the meal ticket here, allowing us to heal every time we go into a shop. And now moving on to the champ fight here, we're really not going to have any trouble outscaling him. We will rely on Nilri's Codex just a little bit for maybe hopefully a Glacier or some additional Frost Orbs for some defensive scaling, but this fight really isn't going to be any issue at all. Amplify is going to be great. It's going to allow us to play powers twice. So do note, don't play Biased Cognition this early. Hold on to that until you're into phase 2 of the champ fight. So he's actually nice enough. He's going to play Metallicize or buff here, and he's going to give us a few turns of setup, which is really important as the defect. Echo Form is going to be great. Allow us to play the first card every turn twice. And I'm going to tank a little bit of damage here, but we are just about through with our setup phase. The other slight worry we have here is just a little bit of hand clog issues. I really need to try and get that curse out of the deck and just free up some space for future turns. We're given a white noise, which is going to give us even more powers. And I am going to go ahead and play that Amplify, play Loop, which is going to give us even more lightning orbs and have those lightning orbs trigger additional times every turn. Checking every turn to see if there's anything worth bringing back from the discard pile, because we do have a free hologram. I pulled that Amplify back because we're going to just keep playing more powers. Electrodynamics is great, but I've got a whole bunch of powers here we can choose from, so this is where your turn order really matters, because remember, we already played an Echo Form, so now the first 3 cards we play every turn are going to be played twice. And White Noise rewards us with the buffer here, which we play twice, which is going to allow us to tank 2 big hits. We're just getting more and more free powers we can play. I think we can go ahead and play Biased Cognition. We're just about to enter phase 2 of this fight, but I'm going to hold it for one more turn just in case anything crazy happens. We buff that hit easily. We have one more buffer charge left. This turn he is going to enter phase 2, so we need to do as much damage as possible. We're going to go ahead and play Biased Cognition twice, which was the whole reason for saving it from the last turn. Each of our lightning orbs are now doing 14 damage, and it's really only a matter of time before the champ just gets chumped. We're rewarded with the opportunity at a real buffer. Core Surge is also great here. It plays really well with Biased Cognition. It was a tough choice, but I ended up going with the buffer because we still don't have a whole lot of block. Black Star and Pandora's Box are also both really good here. Black Star gives us extra relics when we fight elites. Pandora's Box would have transformed all of our strikes and defends, but we're just going to go elite hunting here in Act 3. We've got a really solid setup. I'm still looking for a Glacier and some more Frost Orb generation or some way to block, but we're pretty much set and the deck is gonna really just start playing itself. And if things weren't crazy enough, we're offered the Mind Bloom option. So I'm gonna stop here and talk for a second about Mind Bloom, because this one trips a lot of people up. If you take I Am Awake and upgrade all your cards, you can no longer heal. Anytime that you would be revived by a Fairy in the Bottle or a Lizard Tail, that is considered healing. So if you take Mind Bloom, you can just throw the Fairy away and forget your Lizard Tail, because once you hit 0, it's done. So instead, I'm going to take 999 gold, get these 2 curses, but check this out. We have a shop, so we can immediately get rid of one of them. And this shop is actually just kind of mediocre, which is kind of sad when you have over 1,000 gold that you really can't do much of anything with. Blizzard would be okay if we were actually generating some frost, but we still don't have a real glacier in the deck. A static discharge is okay against the heart, but it's not really going to be super useful. I will take this reboot though, so we can clear some hand clog if we end up running into it. But moving forward, I have another shop on the very next floor, and this is the level I need to take in order to get to the Burning Elite. So now I can go in here, and we're going to be able to get rid of the second normality within 2 floors, and that is one of the best ways to use Mind Bloom. The second shop here is actually decent. We can take these bronze scales, another storm. Fission is good for more card draw and energy generation, a little bit of healing, and the molten egg just in case we get some kind of good attack. We dispatched the giant head without taking any damage at all, and we're going to be really handily rewarded here. So we get the Regal Pillow, which is okay, but Smiling Mask is going to help us remove some stuff, and we are finally given some Frost with Chill Plus, which is going to let us generate Frost for every enemy in combat. And we can see we're already going to be fighting 2 bosses at the end, so that's going to be 2 free Frost on turn 1 against them. Moving into our boss gauntlet here, we took several more elites and none of them really helped us at all. We got the boot, we got Omamori, we got the ceramic fish. None of these are actually useful late game. But we did find some more decent cards. We got a real Echo form, so we don't have to wait for Nilri's Codex or Creative AI. And just check it out here, how we're going to just destroy Donu and Deka. We actually do get some lucky draws here. We get Genetic Algorithm on turn 1, which prevents any of that damage coming from Deka. We get another Storm on turn 2, which of course gonna go ahead and play. But first I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my current orbs to draw more cards, get some block down, play this Discovery, and take a Hello World, I guess, for some energy generation. We come really close to taking some damage on turn 2, but we just managed with again some lucky card draw. We're offered a Glacier, which is going to be huge if we can actually manage to draw it, which we do. We're given another Storm from Creative AI. We draw our buffer. We got a Claw from Hello World, and here just the orbs are generating like mad. I was trying really hard not to take any damage here, so I'm considering using the Liquid Memories so I can redraw that Glacier and pull some more block in. And playing that Glacier is actually going to prevent us from taking any more damage, so I decided it was as good a chance as any to try and get a perfect in this fight. A word of caution when you're playing a deck like this: if you don't have any extra sources of Frost, or if you're not playing Creative AI and you don't have extra sources of Lightning Orbs, you really need to be careful how you spam your cards here, or you could end up running out of power cards or out of Frost, and then you're going to end up just having a dead deck. Now, Nilri, of course, granted us another Glacier here, so that's not something we have to worry about here, but something to keep in mind. You can also see here this deck is taking several turns to get turned on because we have bottom decked all of our focus. So you need to make sure to give yourself plenty of either front loaded block or buffer or something to do, because your enemies are scaling really quickly here, and until we get that focus generation, we're only dealing 3 damage per lightning orb. I don't even have any extra orb slots to do more, so I have to wait until I get the biased cognitions, and I can really then start building the deck up. I drew even another storm, and if you have enough storms, then you really don't need to upgrade any focus, because now I'm going to be playing, I think, 3 or 4 orbs for every power card that I play. And since I'm playing powers every turn, it's gonna really start to snowball here. As you can see, we're just going crazy. We're gonna take out Donu and Deka with our buffer intact, taking 0 damage, the perfect achievement for a boss fight. We're going to move forward into the Act 4 Gauntlet since we've collected all of the keys. Spear and Shield did give us the bird-faced urn, which gives us 2 hit points every time we play a power, to just finish off the crazy power spam deck. We are going to go into the heart fight here. One thing I want to note going into the heart fight here is look at our draw. This is not a good draw versus the heart. If we know that next turn we're going to take a huge amount of damage, we definitely want to get some more cards. So remember that the heart has Beat of Death and we have Centennial Puzzle. So rather than playing my charge battery here, I'm gonna go ahead and take 1 damage so I can draw 3 free cards. And that really helped a little bit. So we're gonna go ahead and, like, that would have been a terrible draw for turn 2. So now we can go ahead and play some more of these cards. I'm gonna go ahead and get my strength and my thorns buffer going. And we're just gonna go ahead and spam powers against the heart. I really appreciate y'all watching through this far. I appreciate your comments. Let me know down in the comments below what kind of crazy decks you've built, or what other kinds of guides you'd like to see if you want to see these longer, 20 to 30 minute videos. Thanks, and have a good one.